stay on time. This session is just kind of a roundtable. There's no specific topic. I have a starter topic to get us going, but it's an open discussion. It centers on challenges, issues that we're all having, and solutions that other folks in the room may have for those challenges. I'm Matt from Farmington Public Schools. Just a quick show of hands in the room. How many of you guys are from K-12? Okay. How many of you guys are from higher ed? Other? Okay. What are some of the others? Sorry. Okay, town. I forgot that group.
Yeah, we go more and more.
Municipalities, I forgot that group. So the first topic that I have, and Mike's going to help as well, I'm going to try to keep the topics to about 10 minutes just so that everybody has a chance to throw a piece out. We have till 12:30. We'll take a break for lunch, and then we can come back if the conversation is still going, or if folks want to come back in and meet in small groups. We have this room during the lunch period and then up until 2 o'clock when the afternoon session starts. I will probably be back in here about 1:30 just if there is any other large group facilitation that's needed as well. So the first topic that I wanted to throw out just to kind of get things going was, what are you guys doing at the, obviously from K-12 arena, what are folks doing in terms of Active Directory integration with Google Apps to help streamline account creation of your students and your faculty and staff? One of the biggest challenges I have right now is the whole onboarding process of faculty and staff, having to create accounts in multiple systems. I've been looking at a couple of solutions, but I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to relieve the headache. So I'm wondering what other folks are doing in that arena.
Fairfield University, in 2009, we were doing a mandate to go to Google Apps for our students in a very short amount of time. So we did go with an identity management all-in-one solution, so that the onboarding began from the SIS system and created all of the accounts in both the application directory for students and Google Apps. We recently had to go to a new identity manager solution for a number of reasons. One of which was, Google changed their API structure recently, so we had to go to a technology that supported that and had active development. But it really does, if we had to manually create our student accounts, I don't think I would have a job. It would, by which I mean I should be fired indeed. You don't need a professionally developed one. If you have the right development staff, the APIs, you can do it. Although having
It's tougher in K-12.
it depends, because I'm aware that there's a number of Google projects open with a lot of open source code that you can try to bring in if you don't have the funding for a more traditional identity management.
What do you guys use it for?
We just applied with NIT.
Well, I'm not from Manchester, first off. We use Google's Active Directory sync technology, and we also use their password sync app, and basically just map the names to certain fields in Active Directory, and we can create accounts based on that. It's all in Google, they have updates for all their APIs, and we haven't had an issue with that yet. So we have a sync process that we set up for a scheduled task, and basically just runs every hour on the hour. And the Active Directory accounts are synced internally, and then as soon as you trigger the Active Directory sync tool, just uploads everything to Google. That's going to work great for us. That's free. That's free.
I'm from K-12, Ryan Woldheim. I believe Clever is pursuing that technology too. We've already got it installed within our PowerShell system, so it updates Streambox regularly, but I believe they're trying to expand what they aid with.
I actually have, I wrote up a little in-house system for syncing accounts from exchange mailboxes, knows to delete them when the user becomes inactive in PowerSchool.
Cool.
So I was
Are you
thinking
any
about,
fun?
right now it's just sort of a script, but I'm looking into possibly doing an open source with a Django front-end project at some point. So I started working on that just for fun.
Is
If anybody's
anybody,
interested.
has anybody explored the Kimono SIP agents at all that they're pushing? That'll sync PowerSchool and then using their same SIP agents, Active Directory.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, I sync directly from the PowerSchool database. I don't use a SIP agent. But eventually, I'm designing it to be modular so that anybody who joins in on this project that wants to write a module for any sort of database, one could be SIP, for example, or it could be any specific student information system. It should be pluggable so that you could, take any system and add it into the mix, use it as the authoritative source or as an update, something you can send updates to. I just started on it, but right now I'm just running a script that's tailored to the district I work at, but hopefully soon I'll have something. So I don't know, if anybody's interested, I can give you my information. You have what's that?
This has been for years, and I just saw a slide that showed how is failing and losing data. I also think it was a moon situation that the company. Are you guys worried about the fact that you're letting the students put all this stuff out there, and what kind of data is in there, and if it does get lost?
I have an answer, but I'll let the rest of the folks, anybody have input? The question that was asked was related to student usage of Google Apps for Education and some of the other cloud-based systems, loss of data, our faculty or teachers putting data out there, and concern over that loss of data.
I would just add to that was the sale of data. It's not only that it's vulnerable, it's auctionable.
Google doesn't sell their data. So is it concerns loss of data or theft? So
Either way, you're putting out information there, and the students are putting out information there, and students know everything. And so they may be putting out information of, either bullying, or some accounts they came across, or some information about a teacher or whatever, or even their own personal private stuff like their social security number so they don't forget it, or their password so they don't forget it. And it's out there in a shared environment. I have always, what is my core job? My core job is to keep things running and protect the data. If it's out in a cloud, I don't have the ability to keep an eye on it as well as I would like to, because it's sitting out there. I started as a systems administrator, moved into network engineering, and then came back and stuff. And I know every single systems administrator can look at any email that goes by. If you're putting stuff on Google Docs, I don't care how encrypted it is over there, somewhere or another, some people can look at it.
So
It's just the nature of the beast. And so we're assuming that, 95% of the people are truthful, honest, and don't do nasty things, even if they see something they shouldn't. But there's that other 5% that'll sit there and exploit and sell it to someone, or, whatever. And I just don't have confidence.
So
After seeing all these failures of Target and Home Depot and everybody else, that as much as they say they protect this stuff, it's obvious they don't, because they keep getting broken into and keep getting hacked into it. The fact that we're not moving to IP version 6, which is a major security initiative that could really help people all around the world, yet these companies are reluctant to do something like that. So, Microsoft has IP version 6. I'm getting sidetracked. But my point being is, you're out there, they come in, salesmen love to sell, that's their job to sell you, and they say, oh, it's perfect, we got 16 nines.
So at a K-12 arena level, we've brought in, at Farmington, we have two products that we use that overlay on top of Google Apps. One's called CloudLock, the other one's called Backupify. Backupify was recently acquired by Datto. They handle all of our backup of Gmail, Drive, and the Google Apps for Education suite. So in terms of data loss, whether it's somebody deleted something by accident or a friend hacked into an account and deleted something. In fact, I was sitting in the last session restoring a student's drive, some documents from his drive because he deleted a folder that he needed. So there are products out there to help. The second product, CloudLock, allows you to set scripts and searches and policies and rules up within Google Apps for Education to the point where you can block students from sharing out sites, sharing outside your domain or organization. So there are tools that are out there to help you. Those are just two of the tools. And again, they aren't necessarily perfect, but they assist you in that arena. Google's now pushed out to their education customers vault, and I've started to play around with that a little bit. But I think it's a matter of both technology and education for the students, and we're seeing there's a much greater emphasis because the students have grown up with this. As the keynote speaker mentioned, this is normal for them. So it's a matter of teaching them what the appropriate actions are if it's the student that's initiating we'll call it a breach. But then there are also products from a technology perspective that help you as an IT administrator gain insight into what's in there. I mean, you can use some of these tools to do a search every hour of all the documents in your domain for things that pertain to bullying. It'll do keyword searches, and it searches right within the documents themselves.
So you're comfortable, and most of you in this room are comfortable with the security of your information out on time? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
have to
can't
say
discount
something.
contractors. So, I mean, you've got contracting vendors.
I have all these contracts. When was the last time you actually read one of those agreements that you put on? I know the lawyers do it, I know when you're up at the top level and stuff like that, you're supposed to do it, and I look at the stuff that really goes to payment and stuff like that, so that's just talk. The talk of a contract is fine, and we need it, and it's money and stuff like that, but besides, if you take that and put it on the side and say, this is the information, and if this information gets out there, all hell is gonna break loose. In fact, that Obama and Clinton got hacked and their Blackberries or whatever it was got lost. I mean, it's like no one is safe here. So, you can say the contract, you can say the SLA, you can say you're going to give me $10 million if someone gets my information, but that's not what you want. What you want is no one get the information.
So there are a couple hands to respond. We'll do two responses, and then we're going to go to the next topic.
I have to say, you have to also look at those breaches that happened with those companies. A lot of those companies didn't do their due diligence, and they didn't follow up on finding out where the information was going, the third-party vendors that were involved. It was their responsibility to work with the company that they were contracting with to find out what third-party vendors they were connecting with and follow up with that. So if they had followed up and did their due diligence in all those areas, that breach would have not occurred. And then you have other breaches that occur because an employee does something that they shouldn't be doing, taking
I
work
understand.
material home.
You're playing into my scenario of why
Yeah,
I'm so
but the
paranoid.
thing is that we shouldn't let those mishaps prevent us from advancing technology-wise because it will paralyze us and we won't advance as a country, and the educational system will suffer because of that, and our kids won't learn the way they should be. Meanwhile, the rest of the world will advance and we will fall behind and become less competitive.
Right, but I think my conversation is more a matter of, I feel this is like version, before .1 that's coming out. I mean, all these software companies push out their, they're competitive, and so they have to. I understand why this happens. But the point is they're pushing software out so fast that, it's basically the consumer is the debugger. So you want to be the debugger on Google Docs and have, all your school system
data either destroyed, lost, or abused because you're
Well,
in the first wave or something
I
like that,
really
you know?
think the school systems need to band together and work together and keep these companies on their toes.
So we're gonna go, one more response, then we're gonna
Yeah,
go to.
I mean, in terms of the vectors of attack, you know, I think it's pretty well known that about 85% of all breaches occur because of insiders and insider information. And the previous speaker mentioned, you know, I hate to see the cloud get tarnished because of security, because these things are going to happen regardless of what technology is used, and I don't think it should be holding us back. Some of the stuff is very low tech, you know, the target, the point of sale devices, the memory scraping, these things are very primitive, but they're very preventable. And I would just, like the previous speaker, sometimes I think the cloud gets unfairly tarnished with a broad brush where it's not deserved.
Next topic suggestion.
What do you feel is your responsibility to support student projects and student work that continue, say, past the semester or past the scholastic year and require centralized resources? A very specific example, and I don't know how well it is for K-12, but in higher ed, we have a lot of requests that students are going to be doing web development, and they're going to be turning this into a multi-year project, and the students leave. And next thing you know, I'm getting emails from PayPal that a public-facing web server that we made available to an academic program has been turned into a phishing site, and that can we please take it down. And so I'm trying to figure out a combination of policy and technology that can support, you know, students doing development work, students building websites, while mitigating our legal responsibility for perpetrating attacks on other institutions.
Answers, responses?
Our college relations won't allow anything that they don't approve to have our domain name at the end of it. So they kind of back me up when I say, you know, tell the student this can't be done. This has to be only on campus. So that's been a big help for us. It hasn't solved the problem, but
I think that the concept of passing the torch, it comes into play. I mean, once they graduate, I mean, the support burden of trying to ramp up to just, you know, odd item support of these projects, I think, could overwhelm the meager resources that we have to begin with. Maybe I'm too draconian in that, but
Speaking to the running, well, because we also offer, you know, some projects, a lot of it's time work, a lot of it's multi-year, and some people come and go. So one of the things we say is, like, listen, if you're gonna maintain it, that's great, but if I have to take down because of something going on, I'm sorry it's going down. And it'll be down until they can fix or resolve the issue. Should satisfaction what you do. That's really, it's really not a conversation or negotiation, because the risks and exposure, just from a sheer reputation standpoint, are way too high. Because when it all comes down to it, it's fire business. So it's not really an answer, but it's more of a policy choice that we've made, and that's good to address that. No, I appreciate that. We're trying to do some mitigation by moving people to unmanaged solutions, like saying AWS and other issues. If you want to do projects, you know, we'll facilitate contracts and agreements with hosting companies where you can develop on domains that are not associated with us, that you take on responsibility as the educator or as the student, and you can claim the work indefinitely without having to actually originate from our data center or our IP address range, you know, as a source of attacks.
Kids can go and do something like Weebly and develop websites very quickly, And you can also use this as an opportunity for them to help them understand that when they enter the corporate world, they won't be able to just make pages that represent their corporation space in a way that might not have been agreed upon by management. And if they're wanting to use your school servers to do something like that, it's going to be the same sort of situation.
Any other responses? Okay. Next topic? Yep.
Sort of about this one, is you're talking about that, and part of the discussion there is storage. I'd like to know what, I've got 3 NASs that I put in 5 years ago, and I'm at, it was like 6, 6, and 12 terabytes for 2 different NAS areas, and now they're end-of-life hardware and stuff like that, and I'm saying to myself, I'm basically doubling my information every 5 years, and so I'm going to need to have double the NAS that I have now moving forward, and then after that, that's going to happen again. Offsite storage, do they trust offsite storage? Or you just sitting there and storing stuff? What do you do with that storage? You would rather. You're no longer offer storage.
Yep, we moved everybody to Google Drive.
As of July 1st, all of our teachers have to have their personal documents off of our local file services and onto Google Drive as well. Students are already off.
Right, I'm on the town side, you guys get great education discounts. Is it the cost, and that's what's doing it? Or is it a mandate that said use Google Drive?
No, I mean, I don't think, we haven't seen any mandates other than self-imposed mandates on ourselves, but it's just the ease and the cost efficiency of it, plus the fact that they're allowing unlimited. I mean, you can provide your teachers and your students with unlimited, in theory, unlimited storage or unlimited space, but it's the cost efficiency of it. And you had your hand up there. Right?
This away from Montville Public Schools, we're using Office 365 and we're in transition right now to the new one to OneDrive, which is basically the same thing. Not Google, but we also are going to put in the administrative localization. Some of the stuff we don't feel comfortable going up there, so the stuff that's sensitive to us, like the business office department, that stuff will stay in-house for us. We're making the decision what we think should go up there and what should go up there. But we're running the same situation that as replacing end-of-life stuff, and we're doing storage, because it's growing fast, but now moving things to OneDrive, we're actually starting to see a decrease. It's one opposite way.
Yeah, you're asking what kind of made the push. One was cost and storage, but also we went Chromebooks. 11,000 Chromebooks. Move the kids off, move the teachers off. Teachers, I mean, with our system, they couldn't access their files from home. There's, put everything on flash drive, there's a flash drive now, it's on drive, they can anywhere. Somebody leaves the district, student or teacher, we've got a one-sheet page on the website, it's exactly how you transfer everything to your personal account, problem solve, it's backed up, it's secure, and then we can focus what we have on storage on the stuff that you don't want to push up. We also decided not to host a lot of things that we're hosting locally, like our school, Pearson, take it off our servers, deal with it. All that stuff is now web-based, so all these servers that were serving all this stuff, offloaded the old databases, and now we've got all these servers that are wide open, reset.
What district are you?
Bridgeport.
Oh, Bridgeport, yeah. You said 11,000, so I was like, ooh.
I have a question for people who went to Google Drive or OneDrive. A major concern, and I haven't done a lot of research on this, but a major concern in our district has been when you move to those systems, there's not a lot of support for point-in-time backup, restoration of individual files that people accidentally delete and whatnot. And that's been why we've been reticent to move away from a local file server. How do you guys address that? Is that a concern in your district, or?
I can't speak to Google Drive, but with OneDrive, there are previous versions. So
Okay.
they can restore their file.
If it gets
The downside is they've got a lot
completely-
of portable wheels that they can. They
Yeah.
can't do it from their computer.
Okay. still
Yeah,
restore
they
it?
can open up the parent folder and then just go to the previous.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a situation where one student got into another student's Google Drive, and the teacher had called me up, I went onto the Google Apps admin panel, and went back and restored all the users' folders and drive and files and whatnot. You go back,
Okay.
almost 30 days, I believe.
Right. That's, we had, within a file, Google has the previous versions option as well, so you can go back. You can also see revision history.
Okay.
So whether, if you're collaborating on a document with somebody, you can actually go back, if you're one of the owners of the document, you can revert back to a previous version of what you were working on, or other hands.
Yeah, we do the same thing with Google with the thing, but because of that 30 days, we went with Backupify. So they back up all our Google Apps data to their system, and it's forever until, or wherever you set it up. So we had a student who deleted stuff. It was from the start of the year. It was now March when they realized it was gone. It was gone from Google. Logged into the admin on Backupify, looked up their name. There's the file. Hit restore. Restores it right back to their account. It wasn't that expensive either. They go by amount of data, but it was, considering our budget was next to nothing, it was pretty easy.
It's affordable for the.
Yeah.
I mean, have you guys started playing? I mentioned it earlier. It was a response to another question. Have you guys started playing around with Vault now that they've made it available?
Not yet.
Okay.
Kind of dovetailing to this, does any of the systems used for like high bandwidth applications like video, or media labs, things like that, are you maintaining local storage for those kind of specialty labs or scenarios? And, you know, kind of speak to at what point is the cloud no longer viable for those larger file sets? And at what point do you make those decisions to maintain those things?
We kind of faced that position 2 years ago when we went with virtual VMware view environment, and we had late servers on site. We needed that, but the question was, did we want to host all of our files in the cloud somewhere or on site? Ultimately, we went on site for performance, because as much as we love our data connection from CEN, is that enough to be running hundreds of virtual computers through the internet back? And then what if CEN goes down, which resilience does, what if that happens? And then, or even just, file shares. And another thing for the gentleman who asked about on-site NAS or storage in the cloud, it does go back to how strong is your network connection, what's your throughput going on, and then cost. It would have been cheaper for us to go to cloud, but performance-wise, on-site. The other thing that we're facing now is that now we want to back everything up. So then you basically need to purchase even more hardware, even more licensing to back it up. Whereas if we're in the cloud, that would be our responsibility. It's just some of the things.
One of the single largest volumes on our CEN is the volume for research, and a large portion of that is all video. So we've gone with that. We actually chose the PNXE option from EMC because D80 is the chassis that have all little disk drives. The expansion with using NLSAT, which is basically the state of hard drive, is very, very expensive per terabyte. So we can add 20, 30 terabytes a shot for less than $1 grand.
Other input responses?
We had a classic example of this video from the security cameras, where we, by necessity, had to go with the direct attached storage on 3 separate servers. The scalability, we had to go with 3 servers anyway, so each one of them has 85 terabytes, I think, in RAID 10, so just not feasible for cloud at all.
Any other input?
How long do you keep your video for? Like, is there a certain day where it cuts off?
I forget what the legal requirement is, something like 15 days,
Okay.
and we're right about at that.
How many cameras do you have?
Let's see. ceiling.
It was
And
weird.
good luck ever trying to defrag those drives.
Oh, yeah.
Never get through it.
Um,
We make a paltry attempt during the summer when they're shut down, but
Blossom with all this cops, video on checks, because the state put, the federal government put out a huge grant for it, and then every single police force in the country is looking to get money to, it's a good question. And I think most of it's going to be stored out in the cloud. If you're sharing a bandwidth with public safety at all, expect to see it get there.
You guys able to hear that in the back? All right, so the comment that was made was the fact that, to the effect that the public safety network is going to start to have impact due to the implementation of body cams. And so if you're sharing bandwidth with your public safety network in your school districts or in your town, that there's going to be some impact there. Another topic or question?
This is actually related to that. We actually just got approval to purchase about 30 terabytes worth of local storage for police body cameras. So we're keeping that in-house rather than cloud-based.
How much did it cost you?
It's going to be under 10K. It's actually going to be two small NASs replicated between each other.
Jason?
The topic that relates to the last topic. What are people doing about redundant links out to, since now everything is going cloud-based and a lot of it's critical, like our school servers and even using email as their primary email piece. If we were to lose any connectivity for any significant amount of time, not that this ever happened with the city or, but we are putting all the eggs into one basket, and I've been hesitant to do a lot of these critical things. For instance, hosting a Power School server out there or email out there, mainly because if I do use that link, I don't even have the option of now sending an email internally, if that were the case. I'd love to hear a solution that says the CEN, now that it's made this honestly incredible accomplishment of linking all of these locations with a single connection. Is there something down the pipe that says our next goal is to have at least 2 links into each of these places, or are people doing this themselves?
So we'll let Mike address first what CEN has in place, and then we'll kind of go to the
Yeah, so that's definitely becoming more popular. The 2 links thing is more of, we'll give you one free link. The other one, if you want, you can have it, you don't have to pay for it, kind of thing, especially with all the budget stuff going on. I don't think there's any way that we'll ever be able to subsidize that too for the K-12s. We have town like Bloomfield just came on, Wisconsin. But they're doing 2 CEN connections at 2 different pops. Because when we go, if you have an outage, most likely it's because of something local, power outage, so Bloomfield this was I think a month ago when they went live. They have one at the library, which is in one CEN ring, and one at the school system, which is in another CEN ring, and we're doing BGP between both of them. So we're hoping there's a lot more towns in K-12s that are starting to do BGP with us. We do a lot with the colleges already, obviously. But we also have towns and schools that have us and maybe Comcast or Charter, and they're doing BGP with us and something with them, or they're using like a fat pipe or one of those type of appliances. Some people have even, I was just talking to, I think, Thompson schools, they have Hurricane Electric somehow. I didn't even know they were in Connecticut, but they must be reselling. So they use Hurricane Electric and CEN, and they load balance between the 2. People like Greenwich, they obviously have the money, but they just got a full 10, this was last year, a full 10 gig circuit at one point, and then they have a switch at their high school at another point. With the PSDN locations, you can now pick police stations or fire stations if there's a switch there, which are better because a lot of them have 24/7 generators, staff all the time. So we do have towns like I believe Old Lyme is coming up. They have one at the resident trooper, one at their library, and one at their fire station. So they actually have 3 connections. I'm not sure if they're not doing BGP with us, so they may be doing something internally. So it is becoming, like you said, way more urgent, I guess, because everything's cloud. People don't realize how when the internet goes down, it's like, wait, we just lost our phones too? We just lost this, and they're calling us, like, oh, what's going on? It's like, I don't know, it's like, oh, our firewall died or something. 98% of the time it's not us, so. But we walk through people, and so, so a lot of people too will have issues, they may not have an issue on their Comcast, but they have an issue with CEN, sometimes it has to do with BGP and other things, but there's a lot of, opportunities out there to definitely, I know FiberTech is a lot of people use FiberTech as a secondary vendor. Cogent's getting a lot bigger around here. So that's what we've been seeing from the CEN side with people wanting multiple locations.
When's CEN gonna change its name?
I don't know, see, it's hard. Britt is the person to ask, she's the marketing director. We just changed our logo, so we have been talking about a different, we don't want to take the Nutmeg Network name, but we don't want to, be CEN, people kind of know it's a CEN, so, yeah.
No, but my point being is the quickest and easiest answer to your question is all the fire departments and all the police departments have the PSTN network, which is part of that network too. Technically you guys are, but they run protocol different underneath, right? But they both have similar connectivity, and now that it's the Nutmeg network, and now that the state has agreed to do cross connects, you can get a cross connect, which is what you were talking about before, into the CEN network. So if you've got an in-town network and you've got the fire and the police on it, and the schools, you can get your redundancy there.
And we'll do an L2 VPN as part of the, as no extra charge. So if you want to straight, your own private addressing, you can PD in your school, which we have a lot of people doing now because, the PD wants to look at the school's cameras. So we'll set up an L2 VPN and they'll, have private addressing, it's open secure and everything. So you don't have to worry about using your own VPN services. The throughput's a lot higher. It's one single hop from one to the other. So it works out pretty well. And we can do it across state. We've been doing, someone wants an X connect to UConn Stanford. So we'll set up that VPN from, somewhere up in the northeast down to Stanford. It's still, only a couple milliseconds. So it's pretty good.
Rob?
So, just to give you another idea, in Manchester, we have multiple egress points with layer 3 redundancy in the town Wi-Fi area. So we bridge between our school systems and the town network, and we have redundant OSPF routes set up so that if we ever drop an outbound route, we'll just automatically fail over using the other egress point, and that gives us the redundancy of the cloud.
Our town, schools, fire, police are all co-located in one physical data center.
Oh, that makes it a little.
Yay, me.
Where are you from, what town?
Simsbury.
Oh, Simsbury, okay.
So did they put all three, the fire PSTN and the police PSTN and the CEN connection, they put all three of those connections into one building?
I believe the police happen to have a separate line out that everyone else is at the high school.
You can ask for them. If you want more connection, you can ask for the police, and you can ask, there's something about libraries, it depends on how many libraries are in the area, every region, some libraries.
Yeah, the libraries come through that same.
Yeah, it comes off the switch.
Any other input or additions?
Does that look at 4G?
Anybody looked at 4G for failover?
Because the wire is wire.
We started to, except we realized that most of the buildings are bomb shelters and there's no connection. Our buildings can survive outside the building, but they can't get a signal out.
Get a couple of them, you still get a bill or two Cox for it, and I get all technical parts. With 4G, or, the wire goes down, the wire goes down, something is pulsing, it's full, the Cox line go on, as long as power goes.
We ran a second fiber tech line in a whole different neighborhood. So we've got 7 fiber tech on this end, another fiber tech here, and they go to different pops, so it would have to be apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, even during
Less harvest, although if our data center catches fire, we don't have that secondary out.
Even during the big ice storm, where some people lost power for 10 days and stuff, we never went down. We lost a lot of fiber. We lost, I think, 26 miles of fiber just in Farmington. That was our biggest hit. But because of our redundancy, we were still passing traffic other ways. But we really thought we were going to get killed during that, and we really didn't. Most of the thing was power issues too. A lot of people lost power, so but we were lucky enough where we didn't lose any major hub site, and the cuts we had said, there would have to be something gigantic.
Right, Mike, the only issues that we experienced during that whole power storm was that we dropped both of our neighbors. So,
Exactly, yeah, because you had, maybe South Windsor on one side, and someone on the other, and because both of them lost power, even though fiber was up, you were dead, you were in an island with nothing.
Any other input on this topic?
There is, I'm not sure how much this would be of help, but there is something called mobile TV, which I know that the New York Public Library, I think, is a part of the program, something that's, kind of super, and it allows 4G services, for nonprofits, libraries, and so on and so forth, for any reason they charge. So, I mean, I had a librarian look into it for me, and he said, oh, it might be great, his internet connection is just atrocious, so he basically was just like, I will take anything I can get my hands on. And he looked into it, and he said, is this a viable solution? He ended up getting very lucky and getting fiber instead, but he did look into that, and it might be a viable solution.
We were actually looking at 4Gs just this week for the, 70 libraries or so that are still on Frontier, because we're afraid that Frontier may not be able to cut over the line to our new office by the time they kick us out of 101 East River Drive. Unfortunately, most of these libraries that are on DSL are also in the boonies, and there's no 4G. I mean, we look at the map, there's white spots all over the northeast and northwest corner. So we were like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be a viable option, for us at all. So now we've been in contact with some of the cable companies. AT&T, Frontier has an ASC service too. So, I mean, what we really want to do is get everyone on fiber. And there is, $3.6 million that they put back in the budget, hopefully, depending on what budget passes. That will, they're looking to do like a grant, so libraries will be able to apply for it, get fiber to close to CEN, and get you on there. So hopefully that stays in, and maybe we can start getting more libraries on.
there's another consideration with 4G too, is that when we had that big storm, we dropped a lot of cell towers, and we were barely running on 3G in our area. So if you're looking at 4G.
Wired or wireless, power still becomes the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, let me tell you that during those times, I was in the EOC with the police and the fire and all the people and the utility companies and the cable companies and stuff like that. You would not believe how everybody was working. They were working on laptops and cell phones. They were not using landlines. And if we ever lose the cell phone network significantly, all hell's going to break loose. I would not consider 4G as backup alternative because when disaster
Next topic, question, challenge, issue.
Now that Microsoft has realized that Google's in the app business, and they've changed some of their licensing in regards to 365 and giving school districts, free service in many cases, would there be a reason to move from Google Apps to Office 365 as being the platform for communication and content development and sharing? Would anybody see that? Would you move from Google Apps?
Wait for hands to show.
We actually had Google Apps for 3 years and we pushed it at the high school. And we don't have Chromebooks, so it took off a little bit with certain teachers and not some. And then working with the curriculum department this summer, we decided, let's take that leap into Office 365. And we did, and we pushed it the same way we pushed Google Docs. And the usage, we were astonished by, really increased. The kids were, the high school kids especially, because they could actually make real PowerPoints. And some of the kids joke around saying that now we have our grown-up apps. We don't have elementary apps anymore.
But
And I know that could cause.
You can use a Chromebook to access 365, so it's not, you're not.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You definitely can. But there's some advantages of still using the Windows machine with OneDrive and different things. And we have a group of teachers that really like OneNote. And Microsoft, over the last month, they've come out with OneNote for the classroom, OneNote for the staff. So they're really ramping up. There's investing a lot of money, and it's really based on your culture and your district, which one you like better. But I wouldn't totally write off Microsoft either. And we still have the debate going on at the elementary level. Do we do Google Apps for elementary and then Like at the middle school, we transition them, because we don't do anything with our elementary folks right now. It's middle school up that have Office 365.
I just want to say, that's a tough question. Both what you said about transition, because it's hard to say whether you want to transition to Microsoft from elementary to when they grow up, because Google Apps is going to be the same. It's going to be totally different again. I mean, every time I log in, the admin console is different. You know, so it's like, that's a really hard decision, because it's not going to be the same when you go to transition. Maybe Google Apps will be better at that point. And for what you said, I think that there is a much greater familiarity with Microsoft products as a whole, just because Office has really been standard. But as we're raising now the new generation, if they're coming in on Google, it's not so much the case.
It becomes the standard.
Exactly, they're more tool.
We've moved a lot of the stuff that we teach, the projects that the students are working on in the classroom. They used to teach specific Microsoft Office knowledge and skills, and now our teachers, our integration specialists, focus more on the concept of creating a presentation using a program that uses slides, and they'll actually give the students the option. They can create it in PowerPoint, or they can create it in Google Slides, whatever they're most comfortable with, but they'll demonstrate in either application. But we're primarily a Google Apps district as well. We have Chromebooks all over the place, and I've been asked that question. I think at this point we're so entrenched with Google Apps to make a full switch would be very very difficult for the teachers, but we've made options open to those that want to use it, because they can use it off the Chromebook as well.
Yeah, and we kept Google Apps still running side by side.
Yeah.
We haven't had a discussion, okay, we're going to turn it off. So we've kind of left it open, but we're finding more people using Office.
Gravitating back to Office.
Just that-
Others in the back.
Maybe for the high school users especially, because going forward, the corporate world is not going to be on Google Drive, they're not going to be using Google Apps, but they're still going to be using Microsoft Office. Resume building and all that kind of stuff. Libraries are still teaching Microsoft Word classes, because an older public still needs to know that kind of stuff. And maybe not so much for the elementary kids, but definitely for the high school kids. They're going to need those Microsoft skills to get into the world.
Way in the back.
So offering a sort of higher ed perspective at the moment, because this is a conversation that's going to end up consuming me for the next couple of years, because we probably will have to. And one of the things that we're finding, and it's interesting to hear you kind of mention this experience in a K-12 environment, there's a lot of, because the functionality is just not exactly the same. And so when you're having that conversation at certain levels of the requirements now, I mean, Docs is not Word and Sheets is not Excel. And there's a lot of limitations where people have kind of been, now that with Office being in the cloud, and much more accessible cross-platform, we're a very heavy Mac-centric environment. And so now there's always been that disparity between Office for Mac and Office for everybody else. Some of those things going away, there's sort of that finally thing, oh good, this is going to be in the cloud. And it hasn't been phrased kind of like the grown-up apps, but it is taking that way. And I think that Microsoft has just been in a continued trend to move in that direction, and then putting Office in the cloud. We're not going to get rid of Office. It's not going to go away. So then I'm presented with, now I'm going to maintain Office and Microsoft in the cloud, and I'm going to maintain Google in the cloud. Why am I bothering? And I don't know what's going to happen. I think we're going to be in parallel for a while. It'll be interesting to phase out. But I think it's a great question, and I've got a lot to wrap my head around to deal with making that transition. But I think that Microsoft might have taken their time, but I can't believe I'm saying this, they might have done it right by taking their time and getting their full functionality in the cloud, because if people are waiting for it.
Just a question about Office in the cloud, because we're not an Office in the cloud consumer at this point. Google Apps for education, especially for higher ed, like we have service agreements that once you graduate in good standing, you maintain for life for free.
Right.
Is Office offering similar things?
We haven't negotiated that yet. We haven't gone there yet, so I don't know. And that's one of the whole big problems, is dealing with that.
If you go with EES, I know the current agreement is as soon as you're out of the district, you no longer hold a license. that's one consideration, yeah.
But they have done a lot to make it more consistent across your platform, right? So the mobile apps are a lot better now. I mean, they have their quirks, don't get me wrong. But largely, the ability now to get apps on all devices you have, I think they have about 5 licenses at this point. Right, they're consistent on your iPads, consistent on your PCs, your Macs. Like, it's getting a lot better for sure. I think you still have your data synchronization challenges, just like Google Drive, right? So that still exists, but largely they are catching up. The biggest differentiator that I see is collaboration. I mean, Google Docs, in my opinion, has it all over Microsoft right now in terms of live document collaboration, their video suite, things like that. They're just better. But like Karen said, I mean, 365 is absolutely catching up. You're seeing it almost on a weekly basis. So.
Dovetailing off this, I've heard a lot of Google Apps discussion on Microsoft Office as your core cloud suite, but all the ancillary like apps that are starting to pop up, like leveraging Prezi or Slack communication tools. How are districts and educational facilities handling those requests? Are you trying to keep it just to Google Docs environment, managing making sure that these consumer apps have robust manageability on the back end, creating different user permission tiers for managing these systems is something that's usually the last thing to launch with a new app because they want it for somebody to use as a person, not as an institution. How are people handling the growing ecosystem of cloud applications? Are they adding them quickly to their systems, or are you having a vetting process for additional, or are you trying to keep it just to Google Apps on a Chromebook, and that's all the tools that you're going to use in your group?
We kind of have a Wild West philosophy beyond Google Apps. We don't officially support something like Prezi or any other application, but we don't discourage students, faculty, or staff from using anything for educational use. In the more administrative offices, you don't use those apps. You use what's installed in your drive, what's allowed for usage, what happens in the academic space for presentations, for research, is up to the individual.
We both discourage them using different tools as well, but we kind of leave it up to the teachers in the classroom. They're open to it. It doesn't mean that we're going to buy every single thing that comes out. Prezi has been one that keeps coming up, and number of teachers keep saying it. But, so we looked at it, and their price was just outrageous. So we told the teachers that we just can't afford this. If you want to use the classroom, just use the free version of it. And I think it's just a fact that went through because, well, this year they're not really using it. 2 years ago, when it first came out, everyone was using it. And I think with all these cloud-based things, they're going to get excited, might use them, and then they die off. But we keep finding people keep migrating back to the Office suite or Google Docs. But we want our kids to be creative, so we always kind of leave that open as long as they don't harm the network in any way. We're okay with it.
Would you end up supporting one of those, or you just say hands off? The teacher chose to implement it, it's their responsibility to manage their students' data.
They can bring it to the administrator and the tech committee, and then we review it and with the curriculum people and see if it's truly good fit. If we have one teacher doing it, it's hard, but if you get your whole English department, your whole high school doing it, then it's something that we gotta really look at if they're using this, and if they use it year after year, then we look into it, are we gonna truly implement it or not?
Comment on the right here, and then we have one on the left, and then we're gonna break for lunch.
So my question goes to how you are having teachers that the privacy policy of all the online products that are out there. One of our concerns is that we find that we don't even know a lot of the resources that the teachers have decided to make user accounts for their students to use because they saw some demonstration or went to a conference and they come back all excited about a product which is really great. They never read the privacy statement. They create these accounts, and then later on we find out, oh, our student data is over here and it's over there. And we're all, we've gone to these sessions here to talk about securing our student data and making sure nothing's being stolen, and yet it seems like there has to be some process, and I'm just wondering if anybody has a process for vetting
what are you doing as far as controlling where the data goes?
You know, we've been at Microsoft 365 school district for 3 years now, 2.5. When it first came out, so we've lived through the evolution of this. You know, we see teachers that prefer, or would like to use Google Apps. We have teachers who are experimenting with Prezi, and in fact, I just had a Board of Ed meeting the other day. Students did a presentation of Prezi. We don't support it, but kind of getting to your question, and really the big question is, we're saying, well, do we really need to pick a team? And, you know, I hear, you know, well, Microsoft 365, we have people in that camp, we have some people in the Google camp, but things are just exploding all around us, and it's really how do we keep an environment where everybody can really experiment, because it's almost impossible to keep an umbrella on everything. But you do have privacy apps. I mean, I was just talking to a middle school principal the other day, and we're talking about, well, how can you have Google email addresses and Microsoft email addresses so both will operate? And then they create their own email addresses in Google, and then you have, how do we control the conversation? But yet, that's going on outside when they grow up. So it's really a conversation of, because we're in the process of trying to select a learning management system too. But do we specify it? Or do we let different groups of teachers or different departments use what they need to use, what really works, and let them evolve and support them and educate them to teach them how to evolve versus just pick something for them. So it's really we're kind of watching the conveyor belt going here and trying to keep up with it. So I don't know if it's about a picking thing anymore. It's really, how do you support people to continue to grow as technology grows around them? And it's an interesting question. We're kind of, like I said, we've been in 365 for a while now, and we're watching everything pop up around, as well as Microsoft. I think I just heard that same conversation from Duke. Everything's changing very quickly, and I don't know if it's going to be a picking thing essentially anymore.
We are at our time threshold. We have this room till 2 o'clock. I'll be back in here at 1:30. If folks want to continue conversation, you're welcome to stick around and chat with your peers here as well. Feel free to bring your lunch in as well.